guys, here Comanche with another video, and now this one is a book review and drink review. So the book review is the Starbucks pink drink. So one of my friends got this for me, and I've never tried it before. Let me know in the comments if you've tried this and if it's a drink you go for that you like to buy. So when I got this drink to try, I wanted to look it up to see what exactly it was. So it does say here the Starbucks pink drink is a popular fruity, creamy beverage made from the strawberry acai refresher, coconut milk, ice, then freeze-dried strawberries. So let's give it a try. This is it here. All right, so I think it's pretty good. I would, what they have to say is it's not super sweet. It's just sweet enough. And the strawberry flavor is not too overpowering. It's just a nice strawberry flavor. And when you smell it, it smells almost like a strawberry milkshake, but it's definitely not as thick. So would I get this again? Yes, I think I totally would. As I said before, this is my first time trying it. Now, what would I give this out of 5? I'd probably say give it a 4 out of 5. Definitely would be worth trying again. And let me know in the comments if you've tried this before and what you thought. Now, on to the next part of this video. All right, so the next part of the video is actually a book review. So it is the book by Hannah Grace, Holiday Ever After. So I've read about 3 other books by Hannah Grace so far, and those ones were part of the Maple Hills series. The books I'd previously read by her are Icebreaker, Wildfire, and Daydream. I loved the characters in that book, and I loved her style of writing, and so when I found this book and I picked it up during my Black Friday sales, I was honestly super psyched to read this and to get to know more of the characters in her world. So yeah, I was, now this book was honestly super cute. So I'm going to read you the synopsis here. So all Clara Davenport has ever wanted to do is climb the ladder at Davenport Innovation Creative. Her family's toy business, everything was going according to plan until the company was accused of stealing a doll design from an independent toy maker, creating a flurry of bad publicity. With a promotion dangled in front of her like a carrot to a reindeer, Clara is tasked with charming the locals of the small town to solve the PR nightmare. By any means necessary, Jack would be completely happy to never hear the name Davenport again. Less than a year after a guy in a fancy suit appeared on his doorstep with a sleigh full of promises, the company that once falsely claimed they wanted to sign him to the small business program has copied his design. So when Clara prances into town, hoping to convince Fraser Falls that her company is not the enemy, Jack is determined not to be fooled by Davenport twice. But Clara has a plan to win over the community, only to realize that beneath Jack's frosty demeanor lies the keys to the town's heart and maybe even her own. So when Clara first comes to Fraser Falls, she comes into the pub and bar that Jack's best friend owns, and they start playing some games and drinking and just having a good time, and they make each other laugh, and he really thinks he likes her. And then, that is until the next day when he realizes who she actually is. So she comes into the cafe the next morning, and she says she's looking for Jack Kelly, and that she has a meeting with him. And at first she thinks his name is Harry because the name of the business is Harry's Hardware. but that was actually his grandpa, and that's the business that he inherited. So Jack and his sister and his parents, sorry, Jack's sister and parents live elsewhere. His sister moved out of town to go live with her husband, and went and had a baby with him, and she has a life there, elsewhere, like in another state. And his own parents have moved to Florida, and they have no desire to continue the family business. However, Jack was always very close to his grandpa and everything, and his dad growing up, and he decided he wanted to take it over, and he quite enjoyed making things, and he loved helping everyone in the community. So needless to say, when Jack realizes who Clara is, he's afraid that, she's not trustworthy. He doesn't think that he'll be able to trust anything she says just because her last name is Davenport and she's from that company. Now, Clara tries to explain to him, I'm not that same guy that came before. I'm not like them. I'm totally different. You can trust me. And so unfortunately, though, no one believed anything she was saying. And Jack said to her, okay, you're so different. Show me how much you care. You've got to prove to me how different you are and that you mean well. And you're not going to just turn around and do the same thing that other guy did. And so Clara, she's never one to back down. And she decides, instead of going back home to New York where her family is from and where her business is, she's going to stay in Fraser Falls, and she's going to try to win over the town. So she ends up FaceTiming her best friend and, checking in with her dad periodically here and there. And she comes up with a plan. And while she's staying in this bed and breakfast, she does this whole elaborate plan on Post-it notes. And so she decides she needs to try to build a trust with all the people in the town. She's going to try to help with small business events. She's going to try to bring extra business to the town. And she wants to get to know the people and try to just get to know the town as a whole. Now, as Clara gets to know all the people in the town of Fraser Falls, and as she continues helping Jack and getting to know him, one night, when the heat's gone out in her bed and breakfast, and she, and also too, she's not able to stay there. She, the whole town folk decide they're going to try to, so the whole town folk are being used as backup for the bed and breakfast. And so what happens is Clara ends up staying with Jack. And while they stay together, they end up building a bit more of a connection than they ever expected. But also too, although while she stays with Jack, she also asked to see the contract that he was asked to sign. And so she reads it over. And unfortunately, when she reads it over, she realizes why Jack didn't want to go through with it and how much Jack was being taken advantage of by the person who came to the town. And she told Jack, this is not at all what this small business initiative is about. And, this was not how it was supposed to be. And so needless to say, as time goes on, it's now time for Claire to go back home. And, and she, in a lot of ways, wished she didn't have to go. And she really realized that she loved Jack, and Jack realized that he loves her. And unfortunately, before Clara left, they had kind of messed things up with each other. And so now then when Clara went back home, she did have breakfast with her brother. But at first she didn't want to take anyone's calls. She was, and she just said she called in sick to her family, like to the business. And, but she wasn't like physically sick. She was lovesick, right? And so, of course, she wasn't just in love with the town. She was in love with Jack. Now, when it came down to it, when her brother met up with her for lunch, for breakfast, I should say, he actually ended up giving her a proposition and suggesting something to her. And it was really something she had to consider. Now, fast forward a little bit more, she goes to the gala and she says to her dad, this doll that you're talking about, that you're honoring during this charity event, was my idea. I know I was a kid, but it was still my idea when Grandpa and I were drawing out prototypes and stuff. And please, at least if you're going to talk about this doll, if you're going to dedicate things to, in this event, please at least mention that I had something to do with it. Now, did her dad do that? No. So she decided, depending on how her dad, did the speech and what happened and that kind of thing, that would be the depending factor on how she took the proposition her brother gave her and what they would do with it. So yeah, it was definitely a really great read, and I'm so excited to see what else Hannah Grace releases in the near future. I would highly recommend you check this book out. And yeah, I would probably give it like a solid 8 out of 10. Definitely, if you want a good holiday read, go ahead and check this out. So this book, it is all the way leading up to Christmas. It starts off in November when they're doing Black Friday and all that kind of thing, and then leads into the beginning of December, and they're in all of the Christmas prep, and then it leads right up until Christmas. And yeah, and so I honestly, as I said, I love this book. I would highly recommend it. I can't say that enough. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, take care. Bye, guys.